The crystal chandeliers threw fractured light across white linen as Natasha Brooks set down the sea base, her smile professionally perfect despite the blister screaming inside her shoe. 6 hours down, 4 to go. The weight of the eviction notice in her purse felt heavier than the plates balanced on her aching arm. Table 12. Julian Westbrook. Tailored suit, cold eyes, the kind of wealth that made people invisible to him. She had served him twice before. Generous tips. Zero eye contact. Your entree, Mr. Westbrook. This time, he looked up. Really looked. His dark eyes locked onto hers with sudden, unsettling focus. You're exhausted. Natasha's mask never slipped. Long shift, sir. Will there be anything else? He studied her like she was a contract to be evaluated. Then he pulled out $500 bills, placed them on the table between them. Sit down. 5 minutes. I'm buying your time. Every instinct told her to walk away. Instead, she glanced around, saw her manager in the kitchen, and slid into the seat across from him. Natasha Brooks. He said her name before she could offer it. I need someone for Saturday night. A business function. 8 hours. $50,000. The number punched the air from her lungs. 50,000. Timothy's treatment. 3 months of rent. Food. Breathing room. What exactly would I have to do? Play my companion at a charity gala. Convince my associates I'm not the emotionally dead workaholic they think I am. Hold my hand. Dance. Smile. Nothing physical beyond appearances. His jaw tightened. You want money. Not me. That makes you the only honest option I have. Her mind raced through every terrible possibility, every way this could destroy her. But Timothy's hospital bill was $32,000. She had $417 in her account. I need a contract. Half up front. Clear terms. And a guarantee. Julian's phone was already out. My lawyer will have it ready tomorrow. Half when you sign. Half when the night ends. He extended his hand across the table. Do we have an agreement? The moment she took his hand, electricity shot through her palm. His grip was firm, warm, and for just a second, something flickered in his eyes. Something that looked like loneliness. Something elegant, he said, releasing her. I'll send a stylist Friday. Don't argue. How do you know where I live? I know everything about everyone I do business with. Your address. Your brother's leukemia. Your debt. The eviction notice from last week. He stood, leaving the $500 on the table with his business card. I'm thorough, Natasha. It's how I survive. As he walked away, she stared at the embossed letters. Julian Westbrook, CEO, Westbrook Global Properties. She had just made a deal with a man who treated people like chess pieces. A man who bought what he wanted. What Natasha didn't know was that Julian Westbrook had missed one critical detail in his research. The secret she had buried under exhaustion and desperation. The truth that would unravel everything. The dress was midnight blue silk, liquid against her skin. The stylist had transformed her into someone else entirely. Hair swept up, makeup subtle but flawless, diamond earrings that were probably worth more than her car. Borrowed armor for borrowed time. Julian's driver arrived at 7 sharp. The car was black leather and cold air conditioning, and when they pulled up to the plaza, her stomach twisted. Julian waited at the entrance. Black tuxedo. Silver at his temples catching the light. When his eyes found her stepping from the car, something shifted in his expression. Surprise. Then something darker. You clean up well, he said, offering his arm. You sound disappointed. I'm recalculating. His hands settled at the small of her back as they entered. You're going to draw more attention than I anticipated. The ballroom was crystal and champagne, 1,000 wealthy faces turning to evaluate them. Julian's hand tightened on her waist, possessive, performative. Smile, he murmured against her ear. You're madly in love with me. Remember? She turned into him, placed her hand on his chest, felt his heart beating faster than his controlled exterior suggested. Then stop treating me like a prop and start acting like a man who wants me here. His eyes went dark. For a moment, she thought she had pushed too far. Then he slid his hand up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone in a gesture so tender it stopped her breath. Better? His voice was rough. Convincing. The night blurred into introductions, small talk, Julian's hand never leaving her. She played her role perfectly. Laughed at the right moments. Touched his arm. Leaned into him like he was her gravity. But something was shifting. The touches lingered too long. His eyes found hers too often. When they danced, his hand spread wide across her back, pulling her closer than the contract specified. You're good at this, he said, voice low against her temple. So are you. Almost like you actually care. Maybe I'm a better actor than you thought. Or maybe, she whispered, you're lonelier than you'll admit. His hand tightened. Don't psychoanalyze me, Natasha. You don't know anything about me. I know you bought companionship because asking for it terrified you. He stopped dancing. Right there in the middle of the floor, his dark eyes searching hers with an intensity that made her chest ache. Julian. A woman's voice cut through the moment like glass. Introduce me to your friend. The woman approaching was blonde, beautiful, and looking at Natasha like she was something stuck to her shoe. Julian's entire body went rigid. Victoria. This is Natasha. How lovely. Victoria's smile was poison. Julian, darling, we need to talk. About the Singapore deal. Privately. Not tonight. It can't wait. Victoria's eyes slid to Natasha. I'm sure she won't mind. She seems very understanding. Julian's jaw clenched. Excuse us. 2 minutes. He walked away with Victoria, leaving Natasha alone in a sea of strangers. She watched them argue by the bar, Victoria's hand on his arm, too familiar, too intimate. When Julian returned 10 minutes later, his expression was carved from stone. We're leaving. What happened? Not here. In the car, silence stretched like wire. Natasha watched the city blur past, watched Julian's hands flex and release, flex and release. Who is she? My ex-wife. The words came out like broken glass. She wants back in. The company. My life. She thinks tonight proves I've moved on. Haven't you? Julian turned to her, and the raw pain in his eyes stole her voice. I thought I had. Then you walked into my restaurant, and I remembered what it felt like to want something real. The car stopped outside her building. Rain had started, drumming against the roof. Julian. He kissed her. Desperate, fierce, his hand threading through her hair as he pulled her against him. Every line in the contract shattered. Every boundary crossed. When he pulled back, they were both breathing hard. That wasn't part of the deal, she whispered. No. It wasn't. He touched her face, thumb tracing her bottom lip. Come upstairs with me. Everything in her screamed to say yes. To let this fantasy continue. To pretend, just for one more hour, that she was the woman in the blue dress and not the waitress drowning in lies. I can't. Why not? Because you don't know who I really am. Because when you find out, you'll hate me. Because this was never supposed to be real. Because you're paying me, Julian. And I won't blur that line. His hand dropped. Something shuddered behind his eyes. Of course. The transaction. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. The remainder of your payment. As agreed. She took it with shaking hands. $25,000. The price of one perfect night. The cost of a heart she hadn't meant to risk. Natasha. His voice stopped her as she reached for the door. What are you hiding? Her blood went cold. What makes you think I'm hiding anything? Because I've spent my entire life reading people, and you're the first person I can't figure out. He leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. But I will. I always do. She fled into the rain, his words chasing her. By the time she reached her apartment, she was soaking, shaking, the envelope clutched against her chest. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I know who you really are. Meet me tomorrow, or I tell him everything. The sender's name made her knees buckle. Victoria Westbrook. The cafe Victoria chose was all glass and exposed brick, the kind of place where secrets got traded over $7 lattes. Natasha arrived 15 minutes early, every nerve ending on fire. Victoria was already there. Perfectly composed in white cashmere, looking at Natasha like she was studying an insect. Sit. Natasha slid into the chair across from her, kept her voice steady. What do you want? The same thing you do, apparently. Julian. Victoria smiled, cold and sharp. But unlike you, I don't have to pretend to be someone I'm not. The air left Natasha's lungs. I don't know what you're talking about. Please. Natasha Brooks doesn't exist. Not the way you've presented yourself. Victoria slid a folder across the table. But Natasha Hartley, daughter of Hartley Pharmaceuticals, billionaire heiress playing Waitress, does. The folder sat between them like a bomb. Natasha's hand stayed flat on the table, refusing to shake. Why? Why what? Why did I dig into you? Because Julian doesn't make mistakes, and hiring a random waitress felt like one. Victoria's eyes glittered. Or why are you pretending to be broke? That's the more interesting question, isn't it? My reasons are my own. Not anymore. Not when they involve my husband. Ex-husband. Victoria's smile went vicious. Temporary classification. Julian and I built an empire together. One complicated little waitress won't change that. She leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. You disappear. Delete his number. Refuse his calls. And I'll keep your secret. Your brother's real condition. Your trust fund. The fact that you're lying about everything. Natasha's chest constricted. Timothy's leukemia is real. Oh, the leukemia is real. But the medical debt isn't. Daddy's paying for everything, isn't he? So why the act? Why work yourself to exhaustion pretending to be desperate? Victoria's head tilted. Unless you're running from something. Or someone. That's none of your business. It is when you're using Julian as your escape plan. Victoria stood, dropped a business card on the table. You have 24 hours. Walk away clean, or I tell him everything. And trust me, darling, Julian Westbrook doesn't forgive liars. She left in a cloud of expensive perfume. Natasha sat frozen, staring at the folder she refused to open. Her phone buzzed. Julian. Dinner tonight? I can't stop thinking about you. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Every word she could type felt like another lie. Before she could respond, her phone rang. Not Julian. Timothy. Tasha? I'm at the hospital. Emergency room. Can you come? She ran. By the time she reached Mount Sinai, Timothy was in a bed, pale but conscious, tubes running from his arm. At 19, her baby brother looked 12. Fragile. Breakable. Fever spiked. They're running tests. He tried to smile. False alarm, probably. Natasha gripped his hand, fighting tears. This was real. This was why she had walked away from the Hartley name, the trust fund, her father's pharmaceutical empire built on price-gouging cancer patients. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. You're still wearing that dress from last night. Timothy's eyes sharpened despite his weakness. The fancy one. Who is he? No one. A work thing. You're a terrible liar, Tasha. Always have been. He squeezed her hand. Just be careful. After what Dad did, after Marcus, you don't trust easy. Don't let someone in unless they're worth it. Marcus. The name landed like a fist. Her ex-fiancé. The man who had wanted the Hartley money more than he wanted her. The reason she had run. I'm fine, Tim. You're broke, exhausted, and hiding. That's not fine. His eyes drifted closed. But you're here. That's what matters. A nurse came to check vitals. Natasha stepped into the hallway, sagged against the wall. Her phone buzzed again. Julian. Where are you? You missed our dinner. She typed fast. Family emergency. I can't see you again. 3 dots. Then, what happened? I can't explain. Just trust me. This was a mistake. Her phone rang immediately. She declined the call. It rang again. Again. Finally, she answered. What part of I can't see you don't you understand? The part where you're lying. Julian's voice was rough. Tell me where you are. No. Natasha, whatever this is, we can handle it. There is no we. This was a transaction. One night. It's over. Silence stretched. When Julian spoke again, his voice had gone cold. Empty. I see. Thank you for clarifying. The line went dead. Natasha slid down the wall, buried her face in her hands. She had just destroyed the first real thing she had felt in years. Her phone buzzed one last time. Not Julian. Victoria. Smart choice. Stay away from him. Then another message. A photo. Julian's apartment. Victoria's hand on his arm. Time stamp, 20 minutes ago. The message below the photo, some things are inevitable. He's mine. He always was. Natasha stared at the image until the screen blurred. She had walked away to protect him from her lies. Victoria had just walked right in. The betrayal felt like broken glass in her chest. But the worst part? She couldn't even be angry. She had lied first. She had played the role. She had no right to feel anything. Her phone rang again. Unknown number. Against every instinct, she answered. Natasha Hartley. The voice was male, unfamiliar. Or should I say, Natasha Brooks? We need to talk. About Julian Westbrook and what you're really doing in New York. Who is this? Someone who knows your father is looking for you. Someone who knows Marcus Hale wants his ring back. And someone who knows Julian Westbrook is about to sign a deal with Hartley Pharmaceuticals worth $2 billion. Her blood turned to ice. Your timing is interesting, isn't it? Working at Julian's favorite restaurant. Catching his eye right before the merger announcement. The voice turned sharp. So here's my question, Miss Hartley. Are you running from your family, or working for them? The line went dead. Natasha stood in the fluorescent hospital hallway, the world tilting beneath her feet. She had thought she was protecting Julian by walking away. She had just realized she might be the weapon aimed at his heart. Natasha didn't go home. She went to the one place she knew Julian would never look for her. The penthouse she had abandoned 18 months ago when she fled her old life. The doorman recognized her instantly, despite the cheap clothes and exhaustion. "Miss Hartley. Welcome home." Home. The word tasted like ash. The apartment was exactly as she left it. Sterile. Perfect. A museum of someone else's life. She stood in the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, her phone gripped in white-knuckled hands. 3 missed calls from Julian. 7 texts, growing colder with each one. "Talk to me. Whatever I did, tell me. I thought we were past games. Clearly I was wrong about you." The last one, sent an hour ago, "Victoria told me everything. About your family. The pharmaceutical empire. The lies. Don't contact me again." Natasha's reflection in the glass looked like a stranger. The woman in the blue dress was gone. The waitress was a ghost. All that remained was Natasha Hartley, daughter of a man who charged cancer patients $50,000 for drugs that cost $200 to make. Her phone rang. Her father. She almost didn't answer. Then thought of Timothy in that hospital bed. "Hello, Dad." "Natasha. You've been busy." Richard Hartley's voice was steel-wrapped in silk. "Dating Julian Westbrook. How enterprising." "I'm not dating him. Victoria Westbrook seems to think otherwise. She called me this morning. Warned me you were interfering in their reconciliation." A pause. "She also mentioned you've been playing dress-up as a waitress. Living in poverty. Quite the performance." "I left for a reason." "Yes. Marcus. That unfortunate misunderstanding." Her father's voice hardened. "But your theatrics end now. The Westbrook merger is worth $2 billion. Julian Westbrook is about to become my largest partner. I won't have you sabotaging this because you're feeling rebellious." "I'm not sabotaging anything. I didn't even know about the merger." Convenient timing, though. Working at his restaurant. Catching his eye. Suspicion dripped through every word. "If I find out you're playing some angle, Natasha, Timothy's medical care disappears. Do you understand?" The threat landed like a physical blow. "You wouldn't. Try me. Come home. Sign the trust fund papers. Marry Marcus like we planned. Or your brother suffers for your choices." The line went dead. Natasha stood frozen, her father's words echoing. Then she was moving, grabbing her laptop, pulling up everything she could find on the Westbrook-Hartley merger. $2 billion. Hartley Pharmaceuticals partnering with Westbrook Global Properties to build specialized cancer treatment facilities. Julian's real estate empire meeting her father's medical monopoly. The deal would make both men richer. It would also give her father control over even more cancer treatment, more patients, more lives to exploit. She thought of Timothy. Of every patient paying crushing prices for hope. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. An address in Brooklyn. And one line. "If you want the truth about Julian and Victoria, come alone. You have 1 hour." Every instinct screamed trap. But she had nothing left to lose. The address led to a warehouse converted into lofts. 3rd floor. The door was unlocked. Inside, Julian stood by the window, his back to her. No Victoria. Just him. "You came." His voice was flat. Empty. "How did you know I would?" "Because you're not a coward, Natasha Hartley. Whatever else you are, you don't run from confrontation." He turned. His eyes were dead things. "Tell me why. Why the lies? Why the act? Was it the merger? Did your father send you?" "No. I didn't know about the merger until today. I left my family 18 months ago. The trust fund, the company, all of it. I've been on my own since. Why? Because my father is a monster. Because he charges dying people everything they have for medicine that should be affordable. Because my ex-fiancée wanted my money more than me. Because I couldn't be part of that world anymore. Julian moved closer, each step measured. Predatory. So you became a waitress? Yes. And when I offered you $50,000? I needed it. For Timothy. The medical bills are real, Julian. Everything else might have been a lie, but not that. And Saturday night? The gala? The kiss? He was inches away now. Close enough to touch. Close enough to destroy her. Was any of it real? Her voice broke. All of it. Every second. I didn't plan to feel anything. But I did. And it terrified me. Victoria told me you're still engaged to Marcus Hale. Victoria is lying. I broke it off. I gave back the ring. I walked away from everything. Prove it. How? Julian pulled out his phone, opened an email, turned the screen to her. This is the contract for the Hartley merger. $2 billion. Signing ceremony in 3 days. Your father made one addition this morning. A clause requiring your presence. Your signature. Your public support. Natasha's hands shook. He's using the deal to force me back. Or you're using me to get leverage against him. Julian's eyes were glacial. I can't tell which. And I've built my empire on reading people. I'm not using you. Then prove it. Walk away from the merger. Publicly denounce your father's business practices. Burn every bridge back to that life. If I do that, he'll cut off Timothy's medical care. He'll let my brother die to punish me. Then we're at an impasse. Julian stepped back. Away from her. Because I won't be a pawn in someone else's game. Not again. Not after Victoria. What did she tell you? That you planned everything. The restaurant. The meeting. The deal. That you're your father's weapon, sent to compromise me before the merger. And you believe her? I don't know what to believe anymore. His voice cracked, just slightly. Just enough to show the wound beneath. I thought I found something real. Someone who saw me, not my money. Turns out I was wrong. Natasha felt something break inside her chest. The last fragile hope that this could be salvaged. You want proof? Fine. She pulled out her phone, hands shaking, and called her father on speaker. He answered immediately. Changed your mind? No. I'm calling to tell you I'm not coming to the signing. I'm not supporting the merger. I'm not coming home. Ever. Silence. Then, you're with him right now, aren't it? With Westbrook. That's not relevant. Everything is relevant, Natasha. You care about him. I can hear it in your voice. Her father's voice turned poisonous. So here's your choice. Come home and play your part, or I bury him. I have information on Julian Westbrook that would destroy his company. One word from me, and his empire collapses. Julian's expression never changed. But his hands curled into fists. What information? Natasha whispered. Let's just say his perfect reputation has cracks. Corporate espionage. Bribery. All carefully hidden. But I have proof. And if you don't cooperate, it goes public. Natasha looked at Julian. Saw the man who had given her $50,000 for one honest night. The man who had kissed her like she mattered. The man she had somehow fallen for despite every wall she had built. She made her choice. Do it. Release everything. Destroy him if you want. But I'm done being your weapon. She hung up. Met Julian's eyes. Saw shock there. And something else. Something that looked like hope. He's bluffing, she said. He has to be. He's not. Julian's voice was hollow. I know exactly what information he has. And if it goes public, everything I've built is gone. Then we fight him. Together. No. Julian turned away. You should go. Before this gets worse. Julian. I said go, Natasha. You made your choice. Now live with it. She left. Because staying would only hurt him more. In the elevator, her phone buzzed. A news alert. Breaking, Westbrook Global Properties under investigation for alleged corporate misconduct. SEC opens inquiry. Her father had released it anyway. Despite her refusal. Despite everything. He had taken Julian down just to prove he could. Natasha stood in the lobby, numb, as her phone exploded with notifications. Julian's company. His reputation. Everything, crashing down because of her. One text came through from Julian. Just 3 words. This isn't over. The SEC investigation consumed the media for 72 hours. Julian's face on every screen, his empire scrutinized, dissected, torn apart by journalists and competitors who had waited years for him to fall. Natasha watched it all from Timothy's hospital room, her brother sleeping fitfully while she lived in a nightmare of her own creation. On the 3rd day, Victoria showed up. You look terrible, she said, settling into the chair across from Natasha like she owned the space. Guilt doesn't suit you. What do you want? To help. Victoria's smile was strange. Not victorious. Almost sad. Surprised? You should be. I spent 18 months trying to destroy Julian for leaving me. Turns out, watching someone else actually do it feels worse than I imagined. I didn't destroy him. My father did. Semantics. Your father used you as the match. Julian trusted you, and that's what burned him. Victoria leaned forward. But here's what I've learned about Julian Westbrook in 10 years of marriage and 2 years of divorce: he doesn't quit. Ever. Right now, he's probably planning something that will either save his company or burn it to ash, taking your father with him. What do you mean? I mean, Julian Westbrook with nothing to lose is the most dangerous man in New York. Victoria stood. So you have a choice. Hide here feeling sorry for yourself, or actually help him fight. Why would you want me to help him? Victoria's expression softened. Almost human. Because I loved him once. And because I saw the way he looked at you at the gala. Like you were the first real thing he had found in years. She paused at the door. Don't waste it. Not everyone gets a second chance at real. She left before Natasha could respond. Timothy's eyes opened. Was that his ex-wife? Yeah. She's right, you know. You're hiding. Her brother's voice was weak but certain. Dad's been controlling you your whole life. Even now, when you're trying to escape, he's still winning. Because you're letting him. Tim, I can't just fix this. No. But you can fight. He reached for her hand. I'm going to be okay, Tasha. The treatment's working. The doctors are optimistic. But you're dying inside. And I can't watch that anymore. Natasha's phone buzzed. Julian's lawyer. A message with an attached file. Miss Brooks, Julian requested I send you this. He said you would understand what to do with it. The file was everything. Every piece of evidence of her father's price manipulation. Patient testimonies. Internal memos. Proof of the pharmaceutical empire's corruption, carefully compiled over months. A second message: he's been investigating your father since before he met you. The merger was his way in. You were never part of his plan. But you became everything. Natasha stared at the files, her heart pounding. Julian had been planning to take down her father all along. She called him. He answered on the first ring. Natasha. You were investigating my father. Yes. For how long? 2 years. Since my mother died because she couldn't afford his cancer medication. Julian's voice was raw. I built this merger to destroy him from the inside. And then I met you. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was falling in love with you, and I didn't know if you were part of his world or running from it. A pause. And because I'm a coward who's terrible at trusting people. Your company, the investigation, is handled. I have lawyers. What I don't have is you. His voice dropped. I need to know if you're with me. Really with me. Because what I'm about to do will destroy your father's company. It will bankrupt him. Expose everything. And there's no going back. Natasha looked at Timothy, sleeping peacefully. Thought of every patient her father had exploited. Every family crushed by medical debt while Richard Hartley built monuments to his own wealth. I'm with you. Tell me what you need. Everything you have. Every document, every conversation, every piece of evidence that you've been running from. And I need you to testify. Public testimony. Congressional hearing. In 5 days. It's the only way to make it stick. She closed her eyes. Saw her old life burning. Saw the possibility of something real rising from the ashes. I'll do it. Natasha, this will destroy everything. Your trust fund, your family name, any chance of reconciliation. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. 5 days later, she sat in front of Congress, cameras rolling, and told the truth. All of it. Her father's business practices. The price gouging. The patients who died because they couldn't afford treatment. Marcus's involvement in covering it up. Everything. Julian sat in the gallery, his eyes never leaving hers. When she stumbled over the hardest parts, the moments where her voice threatened to break, he was there. Steady. Certain. The hearing lasted 6 hours. By the time it ended, Richard Hartley was in handcuffs, Hartley Pharmaceuticals was under federal investigation, and Natasha's old life was ash. She walked out of the building into a wall of reporters. Julian was there, cutting through them like a knife, his hand finding hers. You okay? No. But I will be. Your father will never forgive you. I know. She looked up at him. But I'll forgive myself. Finally. They walked through the chaos together, his hand warm and solid in hers. At his car, she stopped. What now? Now? Julian turned to her, brushed a strand of hair from her face. Now we figure out what happens when two people who are terrible at trust decide to try anyway. No more contracts. No more contracts. No more transactions. Just us. Messy, complicated, real. He kissed her softly. If you'll have me. I'm broke now. No trust fund. No family. Just a waitress with a broken history and a brother to take care of. Good. I prefer you without the Hartley name anyway. His smile was the first real one she had seen. And I happen to know a restaurant that's hiring. She laughed. Actually laughed. For the first time in 18 months, the weight lifted. Julian Westbrook offering me a job. How the tables have turned. Consider it an investment. In us. He pulled her closer. Fair warning, I'm difficult. Controlling. Emotionally stunted from a decade of bad marriage and worse trust issues. And I'm a liar who almost destroyed your company. Nobody's perfect. He kissed her again, deeper this time. A promise. But we might be perfect for each other. 6 months later. The restaurant reopened under new management. Natasha Brooks, co-owner, formerly known as Natasha Hartley. The staff was full of people who needed second chances. The menu affordable. The mission clear, food as community, not commodity. Julian visited every Tuesday, sat at table 12, and left generous tips that were really just excuses to see her. Timothy was in remission. Working part-time at the restaurant. Flirting with the new hostess. Richard Hartley was serving 15 years for fraud and racketeering. Marcus Hale had turned state's witness. The pharmaceutical industry was facing reform legislation. And Natasha, standing in the kitchen she had built from nothing, felt something she hadn't felt in years. Free. Julian appeared in the doorway, suit jacket over his shoulder, tie loose. Still devastating. Still hers. Ready to go home? Home. The apartment they had bought together. Modest. Real. Full of books and arguments and takeout containers and love. Give me 5 minutes. Take 10. I'm not going anywhere. He leaned against the counter, watched her work with that look he got. The one that said he couldn't quite believe she was real. Natasha? Yeah. I love you. Thought you should know. She turned, covered in flour, exhausted, happy. I love you too. Even though you're still controlling and emotionally complicated. And you're still a terrible liar. Then it's a good thing we're done lying. They left together, hand in hand, into the New York night. Two people who had lost everything and found each other in the wreckage. The crystal chandeliers had shattered. But something better had taken their place. Something real. Something earned. Something worth fighting for. The end.